Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 231 of the Well Done Life podcast. And welcome back to episode 231 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you are new here, hey, how are you? Welcome. I hope that you will stay for a very long time. And if you've been around for a while, thank you for continuing to come back. I'm so glad that you're here. I couldn't have gotten this far without you, and I really appreciate you being a part of the journey. So continue to hang out, bring friends, and let's make healing fun together. So before we get into this week's episode, I'm sure for those of you that have been around for a while, you probably could recite this with me, but it's really important to me that before we gotta dive into a whole bunch of things, that we are foundational. And especially in this space, because we're building this space like a house. And I really think our foundation has to be strong, and it's built on two very important things, and that is clarity and love. Clarity is really straightforward. I just want to make sure that you understand that I created the Well Done Life brand because I believe in the power of women. And I believe in the power of us sharing our stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, and being transparent with each other and giving each other an opportunity to see that a lot of the things that we face, we can overcome because you haven't lived it alone. There are other people who are living it as well. And there's things that we can avoid. There's things that we can celebrate. There's just so many different aspects of us as women that we need to celebrate, that we need to talk about more. So that's what we do in this space. And I hope that by sharing my journey, the good and the bad, that I inspire you to do all of those things. And I also do like to highlight the journey of other women as well, so that we can glean inspiration from them. And so hopefully, you're inspired to, like I said, go out and share your journey, because your story has legs. And believe it or not, there's somebody watching you and learning from you and being inspired by you. And you don't even realize it. So give it room to breathe. We need a lot of room to breathe in these days and times, especially. And then that leads me into my other foundation, which is one of my favorite foundations, is love. I believe in love. I'm a sucker for love. And so it's very important to me that everything that we do in this space is rooted in love. And so for me, sharing love with you every week is about sharing my prayers. I truly believe in the power of prayer, and especially in it being amplified when two or more come together. And so for me, it's always very important to set the stage that way. And so leading into my first prayer, I'm always going to stand on this, because we need it, is standing on peace. I really am praying for you that this week, this day, this moment that you're listening is a moment of peace for you, that you can just sit back and close your eyes and breathe. I know that life can come at us fast. It was funny. I was just talking to my love and his friend today, and we were actually the three of us were bonding on the fact of how adulting is ghetto, and how it's just, so many things coming at one time. And so to me, I always think it's very important to stand in peace, especially with that, knowing that life is just going to do what life does. And I hope that you will carve out a moment to just breathe, to just stand still or sit still, to take a deep cleansing breath in, cleansing breath out, and give yourself time to regulate. Because when you're able to regulate your body, it regulates your mind, it can regulate your spirit, it can just help you be able to move through things clearer. And that's what I want for you. I want you to have clarity in everything that you do. And it is hard sometimes to have that when everything is so noisy. So that's why I'm kind of just even springboarding from peace into my second prayer, which is going to be clarity. Those are the ones that I've kind of been standing on. I feel like I'm going to have to stand on those for a long time, because I feel like we just all need it. But clarity is so essential, because like I said, life is going to do what it does, and you're going to have so many different things thrown at you, and you're going to want to move and make decisions and not be able to, because you are overcome with emotions and fears and stress, or maybe that's just me, I don't know, but it's a lot, and it's very hard to go forward when it feels like everything is coming around you and crippling you. And so I hope, like I said, that you take a moment for peace, because in those moments of peace, you can have clarity. In those moments of peace, you can surrender those things that are on your mind. You can surrender them to God. You can surrender them and just let your burden be light, your yoke be light, and give yourself space to breathe and to see. And you'd be really surprised in that moment of clarity how you can really find the path forward if you're open to it. So I pray that you are open to it. I pray that you have peace. I pray that you have moments of clarity, that you're able to regulate your mind and your body and your spirit so that you can move forward in excellence, so that you can move forward in a way that honors who you are. And then, of course, I am always going to stand on love as a prayer. I really want you to have good love, reciprocal love, love that feels good from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, love that sees you and doesn't judge you. That we're going to talk about that too. Love that just gives you space to be vulnerable, that gives you space to trust. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too, but it's really important, and I can't say this enough, especially now, how important it is to have really good love around you. And I'm not just talking about romance, I'm talking about relationships as well. I mean, from a friendship perspective, you need solid people around you. You need people who are thorough. You need to have a community. You can't do this alone. And I don't care what anyone says about, oh yeah, you can go out here and we can accomplish and do everything on our own. No, you can't. There comes a point in time where we need to be able to lean into other people. I've tried it. Believe me, I've tried doing everything on my own. I still sometimes try to do things on my own. God forgive me. And I'm still working through how to let somebody take care of me, how to let myself be the friend that I try to be to other people. And I know I'm not the only person who struggles with that. But if there's not a time for that change, that shift to occur, it's right now. And so I pray that you will allow yourself to make that shift and transition. And don't get me wrong, I'm sitting here talking about, I pray that you have that shift and transition, that you're allowing people to love you and to treat you right. I am. But I'm also praying with the understanding that that thing is hard. It is hard. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Being weak, being vulnerable. And it's not even weakness. It's just vulnerability. It's just surrender. It's just being. It's hard. But there comes a point in time where you have to trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself now, when are you going to do it? When are you going to recognize that you are the one that is blocking you from having the love that you deserve on all levels? Because you're afraid. Yeah, it's really that simple. Because you're afraid. So I'm praying for you strength. I'm praying for you courage. I'm praying for you peace. And I'm praying for you clarity and beautiful, beautiful love. Those are my prayers for you this week. I always like to end it on abundance, but abundance, I really just want that to be like the prayer that is always pinned. I do. I know you can't print a prayer, but I really feel like we do like, boop, I'm always just going to pray that you are abundant on all levels of your life because you deserve it. And you can be a blessing to other people and yourself. So I'm just going to put a little pin on that one. But those are my prayers for you this week. I am recording on Saturday, September the 6th. It is 2:05 p.m. And I'm really glad to be back this week. I've taken a little siesta, a little PTO day last week, just because, holidays, wanted to kind of ease into September a little bit better. But I'm back and I'm here and I'm ready and I'm so thankful to be here. And I just, again, wanted to thank you guys for your continued support. I see the episodes are still getting listened to, and I just really, really appreciate that. And it's kind of funny because this one I want to kind of talk about is a part 2 to an episode that I did previously. It was episode 129, Dying to Self, dying to the ego or letting go of the ego that my childhood built. And essentially that episode is a realization that I have made recently about myself that, a lot of times the things that I have avoided, the things that I have not handled appropriately. And I'm talking about appropriately from a relational standpoint, from a financial standpoint, from a health standpoint. I'm just talking about overall, if you get my drift, have been based upon the fact that I have allowed things that occurred in my childhood, traumas and disappointments, to keep me in a space where I had to control everything, or I was trying to control everything. Let me say it better that way, trying to control everything. And I was using that way of control of, trying to put up walls and just present this front of how everything was just so smooth sailing. And really behind the scenes, things were falling apart, crashing out. And so I wanted to talk about it because I feel like as I have healed or am healing and growing, I have learned that one of the things that I have to do is release my ego. I have to continue to die to it. I have to die to my ego because that is a part of me being able to release and forgive myself for the things in my childhood that have robbed me of my boundaries, that have forced me into this position where it's like I feel like I have to, have these walls up. I have to present the brave front. I have to present like everything is just going together and I'm like the duck underwater with the feet going 8 miles a minute trying to make it. And it's frustrating and it's scary and it's overwhelming and stressful. And I'll be honest, I'm just sick to death of it. And so that has led me to, like I said, another journey of letting go. And it's funny because if I think about it and just having this realization as I'm talking about it, it kind of ties right into actually why I'm in therapy. Because like I've mentioned to you guys before, I'm in therapy because I'm trying to address limiting behaviors. And there is nothing more limiting than not being able to move past something that you have been carrying since childhood, because it shapes you and it forces you into boxes that you never probably should have been in. But you'd rather stay in the box because you don't want to deal with the stress in the past versus moving forward. And so I am praying by me being this upfront and honest about what I'm going through, that I'm giving you the space to check yourself and see what boxes from the past that you are still allowing yourself to stand in, and making the decision in this moment, in this day, in this time, in this second to say, you know what, I'm ready to step out of the box. I'm ready to step out of that box that I put myself in, and I'm ready to live freer. I'm ready to live lighter. I'm ready to live better. And so this is part 2 of going into that journey. And it is it's part 2. It really is because now it's like you've come to the realization, or I've come to the realization that I was allowing myself to be in this box. I had to, like I said, step out of it. I'm ready. And now I actually have to do the work. Now it's where I step into the hard, but the necessary work of being vulnerable. And especially with those that are closest to me. So let's dive into it. Let's talk about it. And I'm going to take it piece by piece because I kind of am taking it piece by piece in my mind. So you're along for the ride and hopefully healing and learning and exploring along with me. But essentially what it is when you get to that point where you realize that, you're ready, you're tired, you're sick of being in the box, you're ready to let go of the things. It's like, it's a release. But then if you think about it, it's a weight. And when I say it's a weight because now it's like you got to start to say the hard part out loud. Yeah, you got to give life to the words, because you can have it in your mind and your soul. There's something intentional that you're going to do differently. But how are you going to do differently if you don't act differently, if you don't talk differently, if you don't walk differently? And so now it's time to start talking about how do you share the truth about how the silence and the fear kept you stuck? How do you do that? It's hard. And even not even just the silence and the fears. How do we talk about the inner war between the fear, the pride, and being vulnerable? Because I don't know about y'all, but for me, that is like really where it is. It's like all of these things just swirling inside of myself. And I know I'm probably sounding so cavalier as I'm talking about this, but I really want you to know that I'm not cavalier about it. I know how scary it feels to voice what hurts or what we fear of losing because of those hurts. And I'm saying this because, a lot of times we get programmed in our desires to cover things and our desires to kind of keep moving through that if we share too much, people are going to see it. They won't love us. They won't accept us. And that is our fear in our mind, producing false evidence to make us stay stuck. And again, like I said, we just admitted not too long ago that we are ready to not be stuck, that we're ready to step out of the box. But now it's like, okay, I got to do the work that goes around it. And I know I got to do the work that goes around it. But it's like I am battling within myself. And I have been battling within myself. I have, like I said, I've been recently kind of just like going through some things, trying to heal through some mistakes that I've made and trying to figure out how to move forward. And it has been something that I've been been talking about in therapy. But then recently I had that conversation, like super recently, like maybe today, where I took a moment with the love of my life to be vulnerable about something that's been bothering me, that I've been dealing with on my own. And it was hard. It was so hard because I was so afraid that he would judge me. And not that he would judge me, like judge me, but just look at me like, oh, she's not as smart as I thought she was, or not as focused, And I'm just being honest about it. And it was tough. It was really tough. I'm very grateful for how he received me, though. And I want to talk about that in a lot more detail because it gave me the space that I needed to be able to be honest, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. I'm just going to 100% say that it wasn't what I wanted to do. So let me kind of frame it up like this. So like I said, I've been kind of dealing with something that I've had to work through, and I've been working through it on my own. I brought it up in therapy. I talked to my therapist about it, and, she was helping me guide toward a plan and giving me the courage and the thought to be able to have the conversations that I needed to have. And it was something that I was like, okay, I got to deal with it. I know I got to deal with it. But for me, as a part of my healing and growing, I always like to try to deal with things first. I like to come to people with solutions, not just necessarily problems. I just think that that's how I've been wired because of, like I said, my childhood triggers are, I can't share my problems. I can't share my hurts because if I share my hurt and my problem, it could create a result that is not conducive, that's not good for my family. And so I've always been navigating life like that. And that's not the ideal because it is not my responsibility nor anyone's responsibility to navigate life in a sense where you always have to think about trying to shield people from the truth or from hurts or difficult situations because you've got to protect them. We have to trust that people have the capacity to be able to handle the things that we put out and to act accordingly in a way that is not going to create a situation of jeopardy. And I know that probably sounded like a lot of word salad. It sounded like a lot of word salad as I was saying it, but essentially that root was born from when I was sexually assaulted when I was in the 8th grade. And I didn't know how to, or actually, I'm sorry, the 6th grade. And I didn't really know how to give words to that because I knew how, if I had told my parents about that, how they would have responded. And I was not going to put my family in jeopardy. That's how I had worked my mind up. So I was going to find a way to navigate this situation so that I could avoid that. And I have taken that type of attitude into every aspect of my life. I always try to fix every situation I'm in to avoid impacting the people that I love. That was a lot. And that was a lot, but it's the truth. It's just how I've navigated. And so I've been navigating like this. And so whenever I get in situations, that's how I move. And so that's how I was moving. And so, yeah, I've been kind of working through and giving space. And I wasn't trusting my love, I wasn't trusting my partner, my honey bunny about it. And it wasn't because of him. It was because of me, because I was like, I know he wants to come in and try to help me. I know he wants to try to fix it. And I don't want him to fix it. I got to fix it because this is my situation. This is my mess. I've got to do it. And I don't know if other people feel that way about things that they have gone through, or if anybody could relate. But if you can't relate, I want you to know in this moment that I see you, that I feel you. That's why I said I understand the fear that it takes to be able to be that vulnerable, to be that honest, to be that open. And so, yeah, I was open. I was honest. I was vulnerable. And my voice quaked when I said it, but I said it. And it definitely, like I said, wasn't what I wanted. And I always feel like sometimes God puts situations back in front of you and in front of people that they know love you and support you so that you have a space to be able to be vulnerable in, even when you don't want to be vulnerable. And so in this moment, I didn't. I had no intention. I was like, Lord, I'm getting ready to go in the store. I got to run a couple of errands and do some things. But it started to come back up. And it was something that we needed to talk about. And I had told him, I was like, hey, I want to talk to you about something. I'm just kind of working through. So yeah, let me just kind of give that to, I had kind of started to lay the foundation. Like I needed to talk to him about something because, I want us to have a relationship that is sustaining and building, and I trust him. And so, of course, and as a part of my therapy, that was something that we discussed. Like, you should be able to talk to him and, let someone support you through. And so I said, okay, cool. I was going to do that, but I was going to do it within my time. And let me just put that out there for those of us that are going through trying to figure out how we're going to talk to people about something that we need to talk to them about and work through things that we need to work through. Please understand sometimes, we're going to do it, but it's going to be on our time. But as God, being the God that he is, the wonderful, magical, omnipotent, no time thought God said, nah, it wasn't on your time. It was going to be on my time. So God brought it up today. And so I talked to my love about it. And when I tell you it was so freeing, but it was so scary at the same time. I mean, I have really been thinking about how I want to describe it, and I really can't. But all I can tell you is that it was everything I needed in that moment and more. And a reason that I wanted to highlight that, the reason I want to talk about that, because I think that's one of the things that we don't give ourselves the understanding of. When we have things that we need to talk to other people about, a lot of times we are so worked up, so stressed out that the only thing that we are focused on is the anger. Because that's all we perceive it's going to be. There's going to be anger. There's going to be frustration. There's going to be words that are going to be said that could be crossed. Because again, remember, a lot of times we're projecting our own fears upon our own thoughts in our own mind. So we have worked ourselves up into a tizzy. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I literally, like I said before, I am my harshest critic. So I have literally worked myself up to the point where I don't expect the conversations to go well. But then God steps in, as he always does, and shows you the surprise of love. And when I say the surprise of love, it's just that, and I guess in this situation, I'm obviously speaking from a romantic standpoint, but if I think about it, it can also hit from a relational standpoint, from friendship, from, sister, brother, brothers, sisters, family, whatever. If there's deep love there, we have to give opening or give belief to the surprise of love. And when I say the surprise of love, I'm talking about, I think we need to, in this moments where we're starting to work ourselves up into a tizzy, reflect on the realization that those people in our lives who truly love us in spite of us. And let me say that again. I think we need to reflect on the realization while we are working up in our minds how we're going to get through things, how we're going to talk to the ones that we love about something that could be hard. The fact that we have to reflect on the realization that the people that love us, who truly love us in spite of us. And we have to explore that. Love is not conditional. And why are we making it conditional based upon our fears? Or why are we allowing our fears and our projections of needing to be perfect in everything in order to be real, allowing us not to receive the love that we want, the love that we deserve? And it's not that we're not receiving it or it's not being given to us. It's because we are so trapped behind our own thoughts, our own fears, that we don't recognize that the love that we've waited for, the love that we need, the love that we beg for and talk about. Because I see a lot of people on social media talking about it. I'm not saying begging, but I'm saying talking about it and how they're not getting it. It could be right in front of your face. But you could be so blocked based upon your own fears and your own thoughts and judgments that you could miss it. And how the surprise of it can rock you to your core. And how the surprise of it can show you the beauty of love, real love. And how that real love is rooted in perfection, but it's grounded in authenticity. They expect you to be who you are every day, and they still love you in spite of you. And so I wanted to talk about that because if you think about it, that love that we really need, that vulnerability that we really need, all it shows is that we were wrong all along. Yes, we were wrong all along, that there are other people out here who can hold space for us better than we thought. And so why are we allowing ourselves to stay bottled up, walking around here with all these things, these weights, these bags that we are carrying, when we have to recognize the people that we have in our circle who love us, who really love us, and you know who those are. And that's why I keep emphasizing the importance of having a good community, the importance of making sure that you are around people that are thorough, making sure that you are putting yourself in the space where you can truly be supported and seen, because you don't have time. None of us have time for anything less than that. Life is doing what it's doing. We are carrying weights. There are people carrying things that you could only imagine walking through life every day, who would give their soul, give their heart for someone that they could trust to talk to. But they're just so wound up. They're just so afraid that they can't allow themselves to open and see that. And so I'm saying all this to say that we have to sometimes turn the mirror back on ourselves when we discover that we were wrong all along, and then make the decision to say, you know what? I don't ever want to be in this place again, and I need to battle myself. I need to die to myself so that I can have what I deserve. And because there are people out here who love us a lot more than we give ourselves credit for being loved, and that we were wrong all along. We don't know it all. And that's another reason why that ego has to die, why those thoughts have to die, because you'll have all these things that you feel are exactly how they are, but they are wrong. And you got to be willing to be wrong so that you can live right. Yeah. And that's a hard realization sometimes to come to, that you were wrong. Because again, that, it's addressing your fears. It's looking at your triggers and recognizing that these things are keeping you in a space of lack. They're keeping you in a space of fear. They're keeping you in a space where you can't be vulnerable, where you feel unsafe. And so it's time to let that go. And I'm sitting up here, like I said, I'm not acting like that's easy. It's not. Fears and triggers don't just go away overnight. Like, it's not like you can read 800 self-help books. You can go to therapy. I've been in therapy for years, and you see, I'm still up in here trying to work through it. So I'm telling you that all of these things take time, but I'm also telling you how trust is an act of dying to self again, because it's letting go of those old armor, letting go of that old thought, because we have to all admit all our fears and triggers have acted like an armor, like a shield to protect us, like it's sitting up and putting you in a fortress so that you can find a level of safety. And yet safety now just doesn't work anymore because you've outgrown it. You have now replaced those triggers and fears with people. And when you have decided to recognize that people, your community, the ones who love you, give you the space to be who you are, who you and want to be, who and love you in spite of you, then you have to make the choice to say, you know what? I'm ready to take this off. I'm ready to stop. I'm ready to die to that old me so that I can be the new me, because I deserve it, because I'm worth it. And that's one of the things that I've had to do, and I'm doing. And like I said, I don't have it all together. I never want to come to you guys like I got it all together. I don't. I'm just sharing my little crazy thoughts so that hopefully you can be inspired to share your crazy thoughts, and then we could just not be crazy together. How about that? Like, seriously, because that's really what it was. And yeah, like when I was talking to him, my love, about everything, he was like, okay. He was like, I thought it was something worse that you had to tell me. It was just this. I was like, yeah. And he was like, you are so hard on yourself. And I'm constantly the one telling him to stop being so hard on himself. And it was like, how I've said it before. I don't know the specific biblical reference, so please forgive me. But, when somebody gives you a word for someone, that word is for you too. And so when I give out that word is coming back to me, and he's giving that word to me now because I needed it, because at one point I gave it to him. It's like there's a connectivity in Christ. There's a connectivity in the word. And we all have to remember that we are all going through things that are not new. and have been repeated multitudes of times. And we deserve people in our life who can encourage and support us through those triggering moments. And so, yeah, he was there to support me and encourage me through my triggering moments and acknowledge the fact that I love you in spite of you, baby, that this is something that we'll get through. He's like, I'm here to support you and encourage you. Like, he was so wonderful. And I had to apologize for not talking to him about it sooner because he was trying to create space. But I love the fact that in creating space, he created space in a trusting way. Like, he wasn't trying to be on me about it. He was like, if you want to talk to me, talk to me. If you don't want to talk to me about it, I understand. But when you're ready, talk to me. Like, he was just, it's always that openness. And that is something that we mirror for each other because we don't have time to play around. I mean, we're both in our 50s. So it's kind of like, look, we're trying to create healthy relationships. That's what we always say to each other. Like, look, this is what healthy looks like. Welcome to healthy. Welcome to healthy. Healthy is having conversations, dialogues through the good, through the bad, through all of it, and working together. And so I want to encourage you to choose vulnerability over withdrawal. Use my moment, because I could have talked to him about this a few weeks ago, but I wasn't ready. And he gave me space when I told him because he could see it on my face. And so now that he allowed me to have that space and I talked to him, like I said, I wasn't ready to talk to him, but it was a situation that came up and I was like, okay, it's obviously time because God is pressing on me. So let me get it out. And it was right what I needed. And I feel so much better because I talked to him about it. But I just want you to know that it's okay. You can trust. It's good to trust. You deserve to trust. And I'm not going to sit up in here, like I said, and act like it's the easiest thing to do. And believe me, I understand we all want to do it within our timing, but don't allow your thought of timing to prevent you from getting the freedom that you need. Don't allow your thought of timing to prevent you from getting the support that you need. Don't allow your timing to prevent you from being able to feel lighter and freer, because it's the best thing in the world. And I don't care what anyone says, that is what you need, And then I think one other thing to kind of think about in this, because again, I know it can be triggering. It's hard and we all want to control things. But remember, surrender isn't weakness. It's a door to a deeper connection. And it's funny because when we kind of were finishing our conversation and like I was asking him, is he good? Do you have any other questions? Anything you want to talk to? Whatever. He told me, he's like, I love you even more now than I loved you an hour ago. And I was like, wow. And I thought about it and I was like, I love you more now, even than I loved you an hour ago. Like the opening creates more of a deeper connection because it allows people who really love each other, who love you, to actually support us. I really do think not everybody is looking for everyone to always be the strong person, the strong friend, the strong partner. Not everybody's looking for that. We aren't. We're always all looking for spaces where we can just be weak, where we can let go, where we can surrender. And I need to stop saying be weak, but because I think weakness has such a negative connotation behind it, even though it really shouldn't. But to surrender, to let go, to receive support. Because again, like I mentioned, that freedom, that lightness that comes from not having to carry all the weights. And I think more of us need to do it because I'm going to be honest. I think that's why a lot of us are so stressed out. That's why people are wound so tight. I think that's part of the problem. Like everybody's out here trying to carry so many weights and we are carrying things that we don't need to carry because we're scared to let somebody in. And it's time to start letting people in. It really is. I know I'm ready. I took a big step today, and I'm proud of me. And I probably shouldn't say that, but I am going to say it because that's not normally how I get down. I normally, like I said, I'm that person to always fix everything. And then I can talk about it after I fixed it. But in the midst of this situation that I'm fixing, I decided to do something different. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I did it and that love surprised me. And it met me right where I am. And it's giving me the support that I need. And it's not about rescuing me. It's not about bailing me out. It's not about any of that. But it's about support and encouragement and being lighter and freer. And now I feel like I could climb tall buildings in a single bound, And I want that for you. Because like I said, I think a lot of us are carrying too many weights. And it's time for you maybe to take a moment to think about something that you've been carrying and something that you need to remove and make a different choice. And so as we're kind of like winding down, I will have a few things that I wanted to do to try to help facilitate that, if I may. One, I want you guys to think about one thing that you've been afraid to say out loud. Just one. And I want you to think about who's in your life that has shown you consistent love and safety. And I'm talking consistent love and safety. This is not the situation where you start being surrendering to lottie-dottie and everybody. I'm not trying to get on a soapbox, but you guys know, y'all know who you can trust and who you can. And you have to be honest about that. And like I said, they're consistent. The people in your life who have shown you consistent love and safety, and trust them with your vulnerability. And when I say trust them with the vulnerability, I'm talking about trusting them with that one thing that you've been afraid to say out loud. And I want you to remember, as you are thinking about how you want to do it, that speaking the truth, even trembling, opens the door to healing. Because that one thing that you've been afraid to say out loud is holding you back from your next level, is holding you back from feeling lighter, from having peace, and you deserve that. And so I want you to think about those people in your life who have shown up for you consistently, love and safety, and I want you to trust them with your vulnerability, because I want you to have that experience of seeing what love can do. I want you to have that experience of feeling it meet you and surrender and hold you and care for you and give you the space to heal. Because again, remember that speaking the truth, even trembling, opens the door to healing. And it's time to heal, my love. It is time to heal. So as we close out, I'd like to offer an affirmation. This is not just for you, it's for me too. I want you to take this in. The affirmation is, I trust myself enough to be vulnerable. I release the fear of rejection and open myself to love and support. Remember, dying to yourself is an ongoing process. There are always going to be roots and triggers that come up along the way. But with each surrender, we live lighter, freer, and truer. And that is the greatest thing that we can give ourselves on the journey of life. So I want to thank you guys for listening and for receiving me. Take some time, think about what I've said. And, I'm still on the journey. This is, like I said, we're sitting here part 2ing dying to self. It's not, and this healing journey is not linear. So I would love to say this is going to be like a series. We're going to talk about this for 6 months, 4 months, 3 days. I don't know. No, it's going to be as things come up, and things came up as I mentioned today. And so I wanted to come here and share it with you, because I know I'm not the only ones who have been carrying too many weights, who've put themselves in boxes and are trying to heal and figure it out and just find space for vulnerability. So we're going to heal in real time, essentially. But I want to thank you, like I said again, for your love and your support and your encouragement, and for hearing me and receiving me. And I hear you and receive you as well. Please don't forget, you can always connect with me. You can put notes, obviously, under my post. DMing me is kind of tricky because it takes me a while lately to get back because life be doing its thing. But definitely also, you can send me an email. You can email me at hello@thewelldonelife.com or thewelldonelife@gmail.com. I will respond to you because I want to support and encourage you on the journey. You're not out here alone. We're all trying to do our best, and our best is good enough. So I hope that you will enjoy the rest of your Sunday, that you will give yourself space to breathe, to heal, to think about what you really need to speak out loud, and find someone that you trust to give that vulnerability to. And I cannot wait to hear about you being met with love, because your voice trembling, remember, is still the first path to healing. And we are all healing and deserve to heal and be free of those things so we can live freer, lighter, and truer. I will be back, I believe, next week with another episode. I'm going to be traveling, but I think I will. So right now, we're going to go with that. But if anything changes, I'll let y'all know. But in the interim, please take care of yourselves and each other, and we will talk again soon. Ta-ta! I love you. Mwah.